Hello all, Zay still climbing here. Back with another video, except this is actually the first video on the channel. Wow, so today I'll be sharing with y'all my Cessna checkout flight in 229er Mike Echo. Now for those of you who don't know, I'm normally an Archer pilot. I fly with that butte over there to my left, 195 Mike Echo, Alpha, sorry. And that's Piper Archer LX, G1000, AC, all of that. It's nice. We have none of that today. We have our old 6-pack standard, no AC, 19, who knows how long, Cessna. But it's okay, because we're here to learn the ways of the Cessna pilot. And in honor of the boomers, I am not using my iPad today. It will be all pen and paper. So let's go. Now it's at this point that you can notice my contemplation of giving up my AC for this. But it's okay, we keep pushing for the boomers, right? Now luckily we don't have the rear view camera because this taxiing was horrendous. This was probably the worst taxiing I've ever done. I would like to use the excuse of I haven't flown for 2 months, but that just isn't valid. We were going left, right, could not stay on center line for the life of me. But y'all don't get to see that, which is good for me. It also did not help my case that I taxi, fast. But we love our Southwest plans though, right? And after that, which I would not call taxiing, rather getting the plane from point A to point B as fast as possible, I was doing my first run up in the Cessna. It was about the same. You know, you get the magnetos right, left, both, and then you check the oil pressure, you know, seatbelts, the debriefing, departures, check your electrical instruments, you know, all that normal stuff. But I'm just sitting here thinking, how am I going to fly without a G1000? I am a spoiled kid. How am I going to fly with a steam gauge? But once again, we keep pressing, even with the doubts.
Hey. Ready? I'm ready. Alright, airspeed's alive. Engine indicators are all in the green. Looking for 55. And our pull back. Here we go, good. And climb out is, we're looking at 70 to 80, 75. Okay. I usually feel like I need a little bit of nose down trim. Yeah. You can use your trim as you need to. We'll hold runway heading until we hit 1500 and then we'll turn to the north.
So after a takeoff roll that lasted all of about 15 seconds, we were up in the air, and it was apparent that I haven't flown in 2 months. Although everything looks normal, in my head it is not. This feels new and crazy. First of all, this Cessna climbs at the rate of a rocket ship, and I was not ready to be this high in the sky this soon. I was not ready. I was not yet married with the flying. I was only dating it. I wasn't committed yet, but here we are, all in with the Cessna. So let's see what it has to offer. Let's do some maneuvers. Dare I do a maneuver without a clearing turn? I think not. He thought he could get me. He didn't get me. I was on that from the start. The area is clear. Now let's begin. You didn't notice I'm smiling here because why and how was I able to do that after not flying in 2 months? That was luck. As Flight says, that was luck. But moving on, he puts me straight into slow flight right away. Have I done slow flight since private? Nope. Let's give it a shot. All is well until something unexpected happens. Let's see how I decided to handle it.
Alright, turn out north for me. Alright, my controls. Alright, you lost your engine. Your controls. Alright. So you're looking for 68 knots, that's your best glide, or somewhere in the 60 to 70 range.
Yes, you did hear Brooks correctly. I did just lose my engine, unfortunately. Luckily in aviation, we always have a plan for these things. ABCs, airspeed, base to land checklist. So I'm trying to get my airspeed to 68, which is the best glide speed per the POH for the Cessna 172. So I'm pitching for that and I'm trimming. Second, I'm looking for a base to land. I'm looking around. Second thing I do is I go to the nearest function on my GPS. Now this is not a G1000, so I'd ask my instructor on how to do that on this type of GPS. So I looked for the nearest button. There was nothing within 10 miles. So I'm looking for a cornfield to land at. This is Indiana. There's plenty of them. Plenty that I could land on and be safe and walk away from. Next thing I'm doing is I'm running through the checklist. I'm going fuel pump, carb heat, magnetos. What else is there? Mixture, pretty much everything related to fuel, making sure that nothing was accidentally switched off. Once that is complete, I'm preparing to do a power off landing, so I'm turning off everything electrical in the aircraft. I'm opening the left door, I'm opening the left window, both passenger and pilot side door, and I'm getting ready to put the aircraft on the ground. And as you can see, I've done all of that and we still have about 3,000 feet left. This just goes to show that in an emergency situation, there is so much leeway in aviation. Let's recover.
Okay, so to use your GPS, so if you go to the direct to button here.
Yeah.
So direct to, and it's gonna pop up this screen here. So I'll do it again. So direct to pops up this screen, and using your knob here, you can, little knob changes the actual letter, big knob changes your place. So K, little knob to U. Big knob to move over a spot, little knob to M, big knob to move over, little knob to P.
Okay.
Now, I am very relieved after hearing that. I don't have to be a boomer after all in the Skyhawk. I can still do my direct enter. This was the best news I got the entire flight. Now let's head back to Metro and see if we can land a Skyhawk.
Close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on
I'll be honest here, this approach was not the greatest. I went out a little bit too far on the downwind, and I'm just barely turning. I'm not used to not being able to see the runway as I'm turning base and final. So that's a thing I'm trying to get used to. As you can see, I overshoot the final here. But let's see if we can make up for it with the landing. Lock in, boys.
Create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on.
Alright, so as you can see, the approach looks pretty stable. I'm right on my speed, we're sitting at 70, coming in nice and relaxed. But I just was not ready for this float, as I barely pull the yoke back and it's just up. So I'm holding up, trying to hold it off, and it just falls. Boom. Straight on the ground. Not my best landing. But it's okay, we have 2 chances at redemption.
And we'll grow in number.
Alright, so this time coming through, I was a little fast. So I had to lift up and bleed off a little bit of that speed. But as we got to final approach, that speed got stabilized. We were able to float it just enough down the runway and flare it just in time for the butter. I mean, my instructor's cue for that was on par. I mean, butter machine right there. Can we do it twice though? Let's find out. Oh, now would be a good time. I should point out that the winds were 5 gusting 17 on this day. But nonetheless, we don't do excuses. So let's land the plane. Now, as I say that, my airspeed at this point dropped from 70 to 60 and we just dropped out of the sky. It doesn't look like it, but I am fighting for my life to keep this plane up in the air. We dropped from 72 knots to 60 knots off of 1 gust of wind. Nonetheless, we still landed the plane safely on the ground, and that's what matters, although we do always seek to do better in our landings.
My airspeed went down.
Yeah, we hit a bump. That's that gust that they're talking about, the 10-knot loss of airspeed. That's why I actually usually shoot for to come in a little faster on. So normally 70 knots is my target airspeed. I'm fine.
100% agree with what Brooks just said there. Definitely should have came in with more speed, knowing that the winds were gusting the way they were gusting. But overall, really good day. Happy to be checked out in the Cessna, and happy to be able to be confident in a steam gauge. And I'm glad that I got to get more proficient in doing steep turns and just those pre-solo maneuvers we don't do often after private, just to keep myself becoming a safer pilot every day. So thank you all for watching.